Could the Giants pivot to this stud Miami Marlins pitcher before the offseason ends and spring training begins? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Stiles. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, thanks to you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show on Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercast games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are discussing whether or not the Giants could, would, or should pivot to Sandy Alcantara of the Marlins. The Giants announced their non-roster invitees for spring training. There's 19 of them, so we'll go over some of the notable names there. And last but not least, who's going to be the closer? Okay, we know they signed Jason Foley, but he won't be ready until at least the middle of the season. So who's going to be the closer to start the season at least? All right, let's get right into it. Happy Friday, everyone. If you're watching this on a Friday, if you're watching this over the weekend, I hope you are enjoying your weekend. Real quick, before we get into everything that I just said that we are going to get into, we had this note from just the breakdown of the Framber Valdez stuff, just to close the loop on the Framber Valdez stuff. This is from John Heyman. This is the breakdown of the interest in Framber Valdez. For a pitcher with alleged flaws, Framber sure was popular. The Padres showed late interest. The Jays were in, and yes, so were the Twins. The Orioles stayed in, but the Tigers, whose manager A.J. Hinch perhaps knew him best, showed they were most interested. So the main reason I'm bringing that up is because of who wasn't brought up in that post from John Heyman, the Giants. Going back to those reports, and like I said, that was no disrespect. I just wanted to see it confirmed somewhere else. Well, it wasn't confirmed anywhere else, and it doesn't seem like the Giants were really that interested in Framber Valdez outside of the beginning of the offseason where they made a call, and it seemed like, they were at least seeing where everybody's heads were at. So just wanted to close the loop there. Does not seem like the Giants maybe even put their name in the hat, at least as far as John Heyman is concerned. He didn't even mention San Francisco. So wanted to let y'all know that's what went down there. Now let's get into what the Giants could do. We know they've been very active. Well, have they been active on the trade market, or have they been telling us they've been trying to be active on the trade market? But either way, this is from our friends at Fansided, and the way they shaped this is from Christopher Klein. Backup plans for teams that whiffed on Framber Valdez. And of course, maybe the Giants weren't completely interested. Really depends on who you talk to. So for the San Francisco Giants, Christopher has a backup plan of Sandy Alcantara of the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins, he writes, continue to bleed talent, not added, which undermines any pipe dreams of major improvement to last season's 79-win roster. It's unclear if the Marlins would actually trade Sandy Alcantara on top of Edward Cabrera and Ryan Weathers, but it's probably worth a phone call as the San Francisco Giants balance risk versus reward. Alcantara was quite poor last season overall, finishing with a 5.36 ERA across 31 starts. His ability to pitch 174 and 2/3 innings after elbow surgery was promising, however, and he comes on an affordable $17.3 million expiring contract. But hold on, with a $21 million club option for 2027. So if it went well, you could pick up that option in $21 million. It's definitely palatable from where I'm standing. Less than 4 years removed from winning the NL Cy Young Award, Alcantara offers tantalizing upside if he can rediscover his past form. The Giants would love a solid number 3 behind Logan Webb and Robbie Ray in the rotation. Alcantara is a sinker baller. Here we go. Like Valdez, only with a lot more zip and a bit more consistency. Of course, his metrics were down across the board in 2025, but his velo stayed up after major injury, so there's real hope there. Miami's phone lines are open. clearly. I think this is a great shout from Christopher. I think this is a great shout from Christopher Klein, specifically because I don't know how that value works when it's a team option. I would assume that would drive up the price because you control it, right? If he has a great season, you pick it up. If he has a so-so season or a not great season, you say, no, thank you. You can test free agency. So I would assume that drives the price up a little bit. So it's not the same as a pure expiring contract, but I would at least be worth it because you're getting somebody off a down year, and this has kind of been the theme of what the Giants have done so far. They found guys that, hey, a couple years ago or a year ago, they had a good season. If they can refine that form with the coaching staff that we've put together and the managerial staff that we've put together, we feel like we can get them back there. Sandy Alcantara, that's somebody that you could definitely put in that category. So I really like that from what Fansided is saying. Just real quick, some of the projections or some of the measurables on Sandy. He's 30 years old. Okay, he doesn't turn 31 until September, so he'll be 34 majority of this season. He for his career, he has thrown 1,075 and a third innings with 931 strikeouts. He has started in 169 games. Okay, he has a record of 52 and 67. Yeah, he had that all-star appearance in 2019, and then he won, as Christopher mentioned, the Cy Young in 2022. So we've seen those flashes before. After that Cy Young season, as far as his ERA is concerned, he was a 2.28 that season. The next season, he was a 4.14. And then, 2024, he had that injury. And then in 2025, he was a 5.36. So in my opinion, you're kind of buying low on him, and it really shouldn't cost that much, relatively speaking. Might be somebody that you like, might be somebody that I like, might be a couple prospects that you like. But from where I'm standing, this is something that the Giants could do. Let me be very clear. Do I think the Giants are going to do it? No. I think the Giants are happy with what they've done. We talked yesterday about them crossing off their list, even though they didn't cross it off in the sexiest way possible or the most dynamic way possible. They did check everything off their list. So I don't think they're going to do this, but this is something that I would look at because the price tag could be relatively realistic compared to even the AAV and the contract that Framber Valdez signed. No way the Giants were going to do that. And some of the other pitchers that have been moved, the Giants, number one, they wouldn't want to give up that type of those type of assets. And number two, I don't even think those assets are viewed the way the Giants view them in some of those deals. They'd have to give up 30 pieces, right? 30 prospects, or realistically, a 5 or 7 just to even have a conversation. So this is something where you're buying low. It's a team that, they're not really headed in the direction of contending, sitting there right there at 500, slightly under 500. So why don't you see what they're looking for, and you can make a decision because you're gambling. It's a safe bet, right? In that you got to pay him that $17 million. If he doesn't play well, you don't pick up the option. If he plays really well, now you might actually have a deal. You might actually have some positive value on this, and he's under contract with you for another season. I think it's a really, really good look. We know the Giants don't like player options, right? When we know teams love team options. So might drive the cost up a bit, but he's coming off a down season. He's 30 years old. Why not? Why not, Gigantes? Go see what's out there. All right, let's get to the next segment. The Giants announced non-roster invitees for spring training. They announced 19 of them. Let's talk about who could make a splash and who has a chance to make the big boy roster. More Locked On Giants coming up. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience experience who can jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, you get posts that get seen by candidates who are actually fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get 75% job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Giants with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnSFGiants@Supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. If you're a true diehard Giants fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to LockedOnSFGiants@Supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Second segment with you, and we haven't heard from Susan Slusser in a little bit, at least on this show. She's obviously been posting and doing her thing, and the Giants have announced their non-roster invitees to spring training. So Susan wrote an article on it. Who are the Giants spring training non-roster invitees, and what are their chances of making the team? So she's going to highlight some, and I can give you the full list right here before we get on into it, because I do think it's just always fun to see new names and check out certain players that you might root for and have have a chance of making the squad. So this is the list for you. The outfielders: you have Victor Barracoto. You have, and he was just voted the number 35 prospect in the Giants system by McCovey Chronicles. Bo Davidson, Jared Oliva, Oslevis Basabi, infielder. I love Oslevis. Got him out here in Sacramento. Nate Furman, Buddy Kennedy, Parks Harbor, Jake Holton, Diego Cartea, Eric Haas, Logan Porter, Will Bednar. That's one that I know a lot of people are keeping an eye on. Michael Fulmer, Trent Harris, Caleb Killian, Nick Margavicius, Wilkin Ramos, Juan Sanchez, and Gregory Santos, who Gregory Santos will be brought up a little bit later in the show. So keep an eye on that and keep your ears out for that. So let's see what Susan has to say. The San Francisco Giants still haven't announced their coaching staff. That's really bothering some people. With less than a week to go before pitchers and catchers report to spring training in Arizona, but they did announce their non-roster invitees for Camp Wednesday. Among the 19 players joining the club for spring training is 2021 first-round pick Will Bednar, whose progression has been slowed by injuries. The 25-year-old right-hander, whose brother David is a reliever with the Yankees, had a 4.97 ERA and 36 relief appearances at AA Richmond last year, but also struck out 84 and 50 in 2/3 innings. The most interesting in the group is outfielder Bo Davidson, 23 years old, ranked the Giants number 3 prospect by Baseball America. Davidson hit .281 with 18 homers between Class A Eugene and Richmond last season. He also stole 19 bases. He's in camp to gain extra experience and exposure to the new big league staff, but Davidson could move up to AAA Sacramento. Let's go. Can't wait to see him out here quickly this year, bringing him a step away from the majors. And of course, Susan puts this in parentheses. Top prospect Bryce Eldridge is, of course, in camp, but he's already on the 40-man roster. Among the notable invitees with big league experience are right-handed relievers Michael Fulmer and Gregory Santos, as well as right-handed starter Caleb Killian and lefty starter Nick Margavicius. San Francisco needs starting pitching depth, and any relievers who jump out during the spring have a shot at the big league roster. Fulmer has experience at closer, chiefly with the Tigers in 2021, and is worth watching closely. The backup catcher spot is not set, giving journeyman Eric Haas and Logan Porter a potential opening. Haas is filling the veteran spot here. He has played 383 big league games with Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Detroit. And in 2021, he had 22 homers with the Tigers. Rule 5 pick Daniel Susac, selected from the A's, is also among the backstops in camp. Among the group of non-starter infielders, Buddy Kennedy jumps out for his experience with 5 big league teams. That's a great name as well, Buddy Kennedy. But barring injuries on the 40-man roster or trade, it will be tough for any of the invitees to break camp with the Giants, with Casey Schmidt and Christian Koss returning and Tyler Fitzgerald under tutelage to become a super utility type of player. That's a great note from Susan. Infielder Oslevis Basabe, who had a brief call-up with Tampa Bay in 2023 and was in camp with the Giants last year, is back again after spending last season with Sacramento. And minor league free agent Jake Holton plays the infield and outfield corners. Outfielder Jared Oliva has a bit of big league time with Pittsburgh, and the Giants did part with roster hopefuls Joey Wiemer and Justin Dean last month. But after the Harrison Bader signing, and with the fact that Drew Gilbert, Gerard Encarnacion, Luis Matos, and Grant McCray will all be battling for backup outfield spots, the non-roster outfielders are around for experience. Okay, Matos and Encarnacion are out of options, making concerns about depth a consideration. Other Giants minor leaguers ticketed for time in camp include right-handers Trent Harris and Wilkin Ramos, and left-hander Juan Sanchez, catcher Diego Cartaya, and infielders Nate Firmer and Parks Harbor. The non-roster invitees are listed on the Giants official website. Meanwhile, the coaching staff continues to be listed as Tony Vitello. That is really, really bothering people. So great stuff from Susan. And, Bo Davidson, that's the main name for me. It's pretty cut and dry. I want to see what Bo Davidson can do. The expectations are obviously that he's going to, use this experience to prove that he can get to Sacramento fairly quickly. It's not about him making the big league squad. Even though he is 23 years old, it's not as if he's 19, but 23 years old, they want to get him some experience with the coaching staff, whoever that may be, since that's still not decided yet. But yeah, they want to get him some experience there. So Bo Davidson, I'm going to be locked in. I know it's a little bit squirrely to watch some of these spring training games and things like that, but anytime I can see Bo Davidson at bat or in the field, I am going to be locked in. Some of the pitchers that were brought up, I think, were interesting just because the Giants are looking for depth, and this is an opportunity. Infield, that's basically the opposite. We know the infielders are pretty locked up right now, but starting pitching, relieving pitching, every team always needs pitching. So, that's going to be an opportunity for somebody to come in here and show what they can do. So, I'm also looking at Fulmer, who that's a name that might get brought up in our next segment as well. Michael Fulmer, who does have experience at closer. But yeah, Gregory Santos is another guy as well. So some names that you have heard before, some names that you haven't. Doesn't feel like there are going to be any crazy surprises, but that's not really what the case typically is with the non-roster invitees. They're guys that you respect and want to give an opportunity to, that have been around the league, or they're guys in your system and you want to see what they're able to do when put in a big league situation, because you think that they are trending to be pretty close. So yeah, that's what it is. And hopefully we see some good notes from all the players, but specifically the players like a Parks Harbor, a Bo Davidson, guys that are within the Giants system, and there's a bit of a commitment to them, expectation that they can continue to get to the level that we need them to be at, whether it's for the Giants or for a possible trade. That's just the reality. All right, one more segment with you. I've been teasing it. Let's get to it. Who in the heck is going to be the Giants closer in 2026? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. One more segment with you, and we have another good article from Fansided that we are going to use to start our conversation with the Giants closer role. This is from our guy, Nick San Miguel. 3 dark horse candidates for SF Giants closer role as spring training nears. The Giants didn't make a ton of additions to the bullpen this offseason, and the ones they did make were fairly minor ones. The closer role is still very much up in the air with spring training a few weeks away. As of right now, Ryan Walker is the early favorite to be San Francisco's 9th inning man in 2026. He began and ended 2025 as San Francisco's closer, but in the middle, the Giants used Camilo Doval in the role after Walker struggled, and Randy Rodriguez replaced Doval after he was traded to the Yankees. I know some of you are just getting goosebumps right now hearing Ryan Walker's name. No disrespect, but it was rough at times. So 3 dark horse candidates for the closer role. Perhaps 2025 is a good reminder that the closer role can be fluid and that whoever starts the year as your closer is not necessarily going to be the same guy who finishes the year as a closer. President of Baseball Operations Buster Posey has been candid about the fact that the bullpen is pretty wide open. So this first name that Nick starts with, Yoel Peguero, that's probably my pick right now. I really liked what I saw. He was called up late in 2025 and impressed. He had a 2.42 ERA in 17 appearances and flashed some impressive velocity. Control is always going to be the big question with Peguero. The wild hair up his nose, as Mike Krukow would call it, is the reason he did not make his big league debut until the age of 28. If he can stay in the strike zone, it would not be a shock to see him closing games for the team at some point this season. Yeah, I'm probably getting caught up in that high velo, but that's what you want out of a closer. At the same time, you can't be walking dudes, right? You can't be a closer and start the 9th inning with a free pass. So it's really important that Peguero is able to keep guys off base as far as the free passes are concerned and keep the ball in the zone. If he can do that, I really do like him as at least a look as a closer. The next name, this is somebody that we brought up just a couple minutes ago, Gregory Santos. Nick writes, once upon a time, Gregory Santos seemed like a future Giants closer. Things didn't work out, and he spent some time with the Chicago White Sox and Seattle Mariners, but now he is back with the Giants and received a non-roster invite to spring training. Santos is a flamethrower as well and has had big league success before. His 3.39 ERA in 60 appearances with Chicago in 2023 shows he can be a solid pitcher. The fact that he had 8 walks and no strikeouts in 7 innings of work does not inspire a ton of confidence, but if he can recapture his old form, he could certainly close games. And last but not least, this is Nick kind of going outside the box, and we appreciate it. Hayden Birdsong. And he admits this one may be a little out there, but hear me out. Birdsong began the 2025 season as a reliever, and he looked great coming out of the bullpen. Things went haywire when he joined the rotation, and he ended the year in AAA. Maybe a return to the bullpen will get him back on track, and he certainly has the stuff of a closer with a high velocity fastball and a wicked kick change to go with it. And somebody did chime in yesterday confirming what a kick change is. So thank you for that very much in the comments. We appreciate it. If being a starter is not in the cards for him, then maybe he can have the most impact as a closer. Maybe Ryan Walker will be his 2024 self, and all of this will be moot. But if not, it wouldn't be a huge shock if one of these pitchers ended up being a legitimate closer option in 2026. I think the Hayden Birdsong option is interesting. I'll give Nick that. But going back to what Susan brought up, and before we do that, Jason Foley is who the Giants did sign, but Jason Foley's not going to be ready until, halfway through the year. And then at that point, he's still going to be getting ramped up and ready to go. So we're not sure where that's going to fall. But the name that Susan brought up, Michael Fulmer. Fulmer has experience as a closer, chiefly with the Tigers in 2021. And it's worth watching closely. It is crazy. Some of the stuff that I read here, I read it and then I go back and think about it or process it. We joked a couple days ago about the Giants maybe living in the past a little bit, but we understand why they do that. I mean, they were extremely successful, but some of these guys that they picked up, you look up and you think, man, that was pre-pandemic. I mean, that you're talking about something that was, and I know 2021 isn't, but they're referencing stuff in 2018 and 2019. It's 2026. It is not around the corner. I mean, even 2021, it's 5 years ago. That's 4 going on 5 years ago. So hopefully, but a lot of these names that get brought up, I mean, even when we brought up Sandy Alcantara, I mean, what was that, 2022 when he won that Cy Young? Yeah, it was 2022. So, that's 3 years ago, going to be 4 years ago. So, yeah, it is funny how the names that we have had to kind of discuss and the things that we've had to talk about with the Giants, we act like 4 years ago is a year ago. Right. And that's just the situation that they've put us in. So hopefully for their sake, this time machine isn't as strenuous as maybe it's initially coming off, at least to me. But it is funny to read some of this stuff. You think, oh, 2021. Wait, hold on. Because I do the same thing all the time, right? When you're looking at music or whatever, you'll see, somebody released an album in 2022 or 2023. You're thinking, oh, that wasn't, that was last year, whatever it was. No, it wasn't. Right. And even still, oh, that was in 2021. I feel like we grouped the 2020s all together. Oh, yeah, he was great in 2021. Well, hold on. 2021, that's 5 years ago. That was not just a couple days ago. So hopefully Fulmer, it is the case and he can dive back into it. I would say this. Weirdly enough, I am less worried about the closer position as I am the bullpen and middle relief and long middle relief to get to the closer position, if that makes sense. And I guess it shouldn't, because you can use some of those guys to get you to the closer, but some of the just more traditional bullpen guys that the Giants haven't really improved on, I don't know. That's what's kind of worrying me, kind of the long relief guys. Will that end up being, one of the guys that they signed as a starter? If, for example, Tyler Malley, somebody like that, if one of the young guys figure it out, the Blade Tidwells of the world, maybe those guys can also help in the bullpen. I don't know, but weirdly, oddly enough, I'm less worried about the closing position as I am the pitchers and the organizing of that to get to the closer position. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Giants ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnSFGiants.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel on audio. Make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. Like I said, follow me at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I, as well as the Locked On Giants account. Hey, enjoy the Super Bowl. Whatever type of food that you eat, right? I don't really have a horse in this race, but, it would be nice for Sam Darnold to get a W. Enjoy the Super Bowl, okay? Eat some good food. We will be back on Monday, and we will talk to you then. Peace.